Hey, it's David K, voice of Beast Wars Megatron and TFA Optimus. You're listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
Hello and welcome to the unofficial flagship podcast of GeekCastRadio.com, Altered Geek Unlimited. This is episode 21. I am your host, as I have been for the last three, Michael Powers. I am joined, as always, by Steve Megatron Phillips.
Yo!
And that is my dog tap dancing in the background.
Oh, that's alright. I got my cat purring.
Driving me crazy. So, the holidays just came and went.
Yes, we had Christmas and New Year's.
So, how did those treat you, Steve?
Fairly well. I got a knockoff MP3 player that looks like an iPod, but it's not. It's 8 gigabytes, so that's nice. The other nice feature of a knockoff is the fact that it has the delete feature. So I can either delete a individual file or an entire folder if I choose, unlike regular MP3 players. Although it does not support, it says it's an MP4 player, but it doesn't support MP4.
Does it do M4P? Because sometimes there's
No, it's some weird, it's like, I think AMV and something else.
Have you tried AAC?
It doesn't support that either. It supports for audio MP3 and WMA. And it supports AMV for video, which my old MP3 player, which is a Sony Walkman, which is funny, it supports MP3, M4A, and AVI and WMV. So, I don't know.
Okay.
But got a crap ton of candy. Got the Arkham Origins DLC, Season Pass.
How's that treating you?
It's actually quite underwhelming so far.
Well, there hasn't been any story DLC yet.
Well, there has, but there hasn't. You go to the training area in Arkham Origins, in the Batcave, and it's a campaign. And it's the initiation, and it's where it's story, but it starts out, you're Bruce Wayne working your way through a bunch of battles, and then there's the thing that sucks about it is they're time missions.
Okay.
So the second one is almost near impossible to do as Bruce Wayne, because you have to take down like 8 or 10 guys without being seen, because you don't have all your gadgets. You have like 4, and you have your grapple, and you have like a wannabe detective vision, kind of like Catwoman's from Arkham City.
Okay.
And all the same weapons other than you get the grapple. So that's halfway decent, but I didn't quite like that very much. The other stuff that comes with it is you get the 16 different skins or whatever.
Yay, skins.
Which I think's cool. I mean, I like some of the ones that are in there. I like the New 52 and the Earth 2 stuff, but...
well, the idea of the skins is really cool in the games.
I like that you can actually go to the Batcave and change the costume.
Well, okay. I like the idea of the different costumes and whatnot. However, I like the way that they were implemented in Blackgate, where... oh my gosh, my animals, I'm going to kill all of them. Where in Blackgate, the costumes gave you added abilities. So, like, if you chose, what was it, Beware the Batman, I think is the costume that I got. Bullet damage was reduced by 50% while wearing the suit. So they do, like, they add, like, buffs, so there's, like, bonuses to wearing them. It's not just a cosmetic thing.
Yeah.
They affect gameplay a little bit, and I wish there was something like that with the costumes in the the major Arkham games.
No, I agree. I mean, that's the only downside to using them, other than the aesthetics.
Yeah, I mean they're just aesthetically pleasing. That's the bummer about it, is they want you to pay for something that doesn't really
do anything.
Yeah, so I wouldn't have a problem paying for something that, like, if you wore this suit, you were like, I don't know, just throwing this out, that you were like invincible or something, or bullet damage, because that would make having something that reduced bullet damage would make doing the end game content a lot easier when you're being triangulated by snipers.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So yeah, I got that. Like I said, the DLC's underwhelming. We'll talk about the other bit of DLC for the season pass that they've unveiled after the 31st. Trying to think. Got a bunch of restaurant gift certificates.
Those are always fun.
Yes. Other than that, I don't really recall anything else that I got. So I mean, other than that, I mean, it was pretty uneventful, but it was fun.
Yeah, I have to say this has been one of the more uneventful Christmases or holiday seasons, I should say, in the last, I don't know, few years for me. Very light on the gifts, but I feel like my wife and I, we started, like, at the beginning of December, my wife and I kind of just started buying gifts for each other, like, on a whim, and just giving them to each other, like, right away. Kind of like, basically, I mean, it wasn't like a gift every day, but it was kind of like 31 days of surprises. And I think I talked a little bit about it on the last episode. I can't remember, but I picked up one of those, a newer version of the Logitech Harmony remote, and a new router, which I'm pleased to say I have not returned the router. I've had it now for 2 or 3 weeks. It works a lot better than my old one, so that's a bonus. Basically, I don't have that big of a house. My house is more like it's like a small size apartment. But it's interesting, because one of the things that would always kind of annoy me is that if I had like if I was in the bedroom and I had a wireless device, like I would always be missing 1 bar of wireless service for the Wi-Fi connection, like being in the very far corner of my house, and it always just kind of irked me. But now that I've gotten the new router, I have all the bars all the time, so that makes me happy. The remote that I got, the more I play with it, the more I actually enjoy it. At first, I just kind of bought it because it was a better remote than what my dad has. He and I kind of compete for certain things, like who has the bigger TV, who has this, that, or the other thing. But no, it's really nice because there's a touch screen on it, and it's swipeable gestures and stuff like that, like on your phone. And unlike the last remote I had, where all the setup for it is primarily done from like the computer, so if you want to rearrange certain icons or edit anything like that, you have to plug it into a computer and go through like this long, lengthy process. With the new remote, like, I don't know, not all of that stuff can be done, but more than half of the stuff can be rearranged or renamed or relabeled from the remote itself, so you don't have to plug it all back in.
Nice.
Plus, another nice little feature I have is that I have it set up so that like one of the activities I have is called like streaming TV.
Okay.
And because I have my wife and I watch a lot of we have Netflix and Hulu and stuff like that, so the streaming TV thing turns on like the Apple TV and my stereo and my TV with the push of the button. But before, it just said kind of streaming TV, and that was it. But I found an icon that actually says Apple TV, so there's a little icon of an Apple TV, and then it says streaming TV next to it. And then I have other activities for like play PlayStation 3, play PS4, play 360. And they have icons that are like controller specific. So instead of like some generic gaming icon or game controller icon next to those activities, I actually have, the PS4 controller, the PS3 controller, the Xbox 360 controller. So it's like there's a visual reference rather than it just being like a generic icon and the name of the activity. Those are just some of the things that I like about it. But the longer I have it, the more I play with it, the more I actually enjoy it. And it's stupid because it's just a remote control, but it's really nice to have a universal remote like that. I mean, I know you can go to like Walmart or Target and pick up like any kind of universal remote. And hang on just one second.
Okay.
Sorry, I threw my dog out.
Ah.
So I don't have to listen to his tapping anymore.
Nice.
But if you have a lot of like if you've got like I have I've got my TV, I've got a receiver that has it has 4 HDMI inputs in it, and all of them are in use, and various different gaming consoles and stuff like that, and Blu-ray players like all hooked up to everything. Some people are content, having the all the remotes like sitting on their ottoman or whatever for each different thing, and some people, it's the universal remotes that you find at like Radio Shack or Target or something like that. Those are great too, but there's something really nice and easy about the Logitech Harmony remotes, because when you do your initial setup, it is all internet based now. So you go to the website and you say, I have this TV and I have this stereo and I have PlayStation 3, and you tell it all the different things that you have that have a remote, and it finds all the codes for you, so you don't have to put anything in.
Okay.
And then you say, so you've told it all the devices that you have, and then you say, well, now I want to make a button that says I want to watch TV. So then it goes through all the processes. It says, what do you watch the TV on? So you say, I use the TV, and then it says, what input does the TV need to be on? And you can be like, well, the TV needs to be on the cable satellite, input. And so it'll say that, and then it'll be like, what do you use to control the volume when you watch TV? And you can say, well, I control it from the TV, or I control it from the receiver. So basically, when you get through with all like setting up all that stuff, so when it's all said and done, you can sit down and you can hit I want to watch TV, or in my case, it's like I want to watch streaming TV. So it'll turn my TV on, it'll put it to HDMI 1, it'll turn the receiver on, it'll turn the receiver to the right input, and then it'll turn the Apple TV on. And wow. So what'll happen is all the face buttons on it will control the Apple TV the way the Apple TV remote works, but the volume up and volume down button control the volume for the stereo. It's like that too. So if I say, like, if I'm watching my streaming TV, and then I say, wait, I want to play with my PS3, it'll go, okay. It'll leave the TV on, it'll turn the Apple TV off, it'll change the stereo to the correct input, and then it'll turn the PS3 on.
Wow.
So I mean, they're really nice. They range, they go all over the place. They range from like $50 to like $300 depending on which Harmony remote you get, and certain ones only can control like so many devices. Like I think the one that I have does 15 devices, and I don't know how many activities you can do, but they're really nice remotes, especially if you have a lot of stuff in your entertainment center. So I think, I don't know, I got the couple of the gift cards from, and now my cat wants to get out of the room. You guys are killing me. Why don't you share something, and I'm gonna let the cat out of the room.
Well, something funny that kind of occurred besides me beating Arkham Origins is the fact that I recently discovered my Blu-ray player can be connected to my cell phone as far as the YouTube is concerned.
Okay.
And I found it quite entertaining because my kid, I was showing him, because he was getting restless, I was showing him YouTube videos of the Muppets songs. And he liked them. So he carried my phone around. And I remembered that YouTube had this ability to, I could build a queue on my phone and send it to my TV.
Okay.
So what I was doing is I was swiping over and sending everything to my TV, and from there I can actually control, from my phone, I can control the volume of the video on YouTube. I can also drag and move it later in the track of whatever's playing.
Okay.
Which I found to be quite entertaining, because the kid just turns and he looks and he's like, huh? Because I moved it from my device, which he was looking at, to the TV.
It's like a cat with a laser pen.
Yeah, he was completely confused. So it was really funny, but I think that's a cool feature, because it allows me to let him watch the video without having to A, type it in with my remote control, which takes forever, and B, he doesn't have to have my phone in his hand.
That's always a plus.
Yes. My wife's like, you've created a monster. I'm like, yes.
But one that won't break my TV or
Yep.
my phone.
Either one.
Let's see. I did start messing around with my entertainment center, because the more I looked at it, like the last couple of days, the more annoying it got. I have 2 power strips in my entertainment center.
Okay.
And they were stationed like behind my TV. And so it was kind of, if you looked, when a TV's on a stand, obviously there's that space underneath it where you can kind of see if there's anything behind it. And I was kind of, you could always see the mess of cables that were back there. So Sunday, while my wife and I were building IKEA furniture, because we went down to IKEA and got a whole bunch of stuff for her green room, which is where I actually record my podcast. I actually got myself a desk, which, if I sound any differently this week, that's why, because there's a slightly different recording environment. And I got her like a whole bunch of bookcases to go along the wall, because she likes to collect books the way I collect video games.
Nice.
But moving stuff around and this, that, and the other thing, I decided, why stop there? So I got the bright idea to try and attempt to hide the cables. Because what actually happened is I installed what's called a bias light on the back of my HD TV.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with what those are or what they're supposed to do.
No.
Basically, it's a little LED strip that you put on the back of your TV, and it's really supposed to be, you don't really want to have it if you have your TV in an entertainment center like I do, but if you have your TV sitting on top of an entertainment center and it's just kind of open, and you have a lighter colored room, I guess, or a backdrop behind your TV, a bias light is something that you put on the back of the TV, and it shows off it's just a bright light that shines against the wall, and what it's supposed to do is give a perceived it's supposed to make the contrast of the picture and the colors and everything richer, because there's a brighter source of light around the frame of the picture to kind of distract your eye from just, I don't know, it's supposed to make it, what it's supposed to do is just make the blacks a lot darker than they actually are, than what the TV can actually do, because there's a bright light.
Okay.
And it, to a certain extent, it works. But when I installed it, all of a sudden everything, like I said, everything behind my TV all of a sudden became illuminated. So you could see all the crap behind my TV. like all my power strips and the plugs and all this other stuff. So I just decided, if I'm going to have this, I need to clean this up. So I ripped out the power strips and I ripped out all the unnecessary plugs. Like there were like, I don't know, 4 or 5 things that were like still plugged in, that just the plug was plugged in, but the end that would plug into a device wasn't actually plugged into anything. So I just took all those things out and kind of streamlined the whole thing, and I hid them in this in a shelf with like a box, like a false front on the shelf, so you can't actually see them. They're just kind of behind everything now, and the whole thing just looks a lot nicer. And then I just today I went and got some foam like poster board, and I have an IKEA entertainment center, and it's really weird because the TV is actually supposed to be mounted in the entertainment center. So there's this center pillar that runs from the shelf, like the main shelf, all the way to the top of the entertainment center, and then there's like opening so you can see through the entertainment center to the wall. And that always kind of annoyed me. So today I went and bought black foam poster board and put that up, like covered up the holes looking through to the wall. So now it's just a big black like shadow box, and my TV fits inside of it.
Nice.
So it looks a little nicer. I'm not 100% like in love with it yet, but it's getting there. My wife and I, we went out to dinner, and we kind of decided that we were going to take 2014 and actually like make our house more livable, more user friendly, if you will.
Yeah.
Because we've been here for almost 2 years, and it's the house has pretty much been the way that it is since we moved in. So like my dad and I, we kind of half redid the kitchen when we moved into the house. So I'm going to spend the year like finishing it, and we've got like plans to get a new stove because you've been in my house, Steve. I've got all stainless steel kitchen appliances except for my stove, because the stove was given to me as a hand-me-down.
Yeah.
And so it's always been kind of an eyesore. So I'm just like, oh, man. So this year my wife and I are actually planning on doing something about it, and we're going to get a matching stove to go with the other stuff that we have, which I'm really excited about. Whether or not we'll use the stove is completely beyond me. But as long as everything matches, it'll look fine. And my dad and I also like plan to finish up my kitchen. There's like some molding that needs to be put up, and to get the refrigerator that we bought to go when we moved into the house to fit, we had to like take out some of the countertop pieces that were in there. So we ended up having to what's in place in my kitchen right now is kind of like makeshift. So we need to get more like permanent solutions in there. And then I have plans to like redo my laundry room at some point in the year, because like I said, we moved into the house, we got everything hooked up, and we just kind of left everything the way that it was. So that's one of the things we decided to do. And I love my wife. I told her that I wanted a desk for recording the podcast and doing other like special projects. And on Black Friday, there was one of the deals at Best Buy was they had 24-inch HD monitors for like $100 a piece.
Nice.
From Dell, and I was like, man, I wish I had the money, because I would have bought 2 of them. And I would have made like a workstation for like, doing video editing or just browsing the internet, And we were out to dinner the other night, and I told her what I wanted to do, and I told her about this. There's this dock that I can get for my computer where I can keep my laptop shut, and I can slide it into this dock, and it will just act like a tower for these monitors that you plug into it.
Okay.
And she's like, well, what would be really cool is if we got 2 Apple monitors. And I was like, yes, honey, that would be really awesome, except Apple monitors are $1,000 a piece. And she's like, well, what about that one that that one monitor that's got like the computer with it. And I was like, a Mac Mini? She goes, no, the one, and for whatever reason she couldn't think of the name of it, but it's an iMac.
Oh, okay.
And she's like, yeah, that one. And I said, well, yeah, that one. She's like, how much are those? And I said, well, they start at like 12, but a respectable one is like $2,000. She goes, well, why don't we just get one of those? And I was like, oh, are you kidding me? So another little thing we've got on our list for this year is a 27-inch iMac. Instead of the two monitors, doing a 27-inch iMac, which I was a little weary about, because I know that there are computers, like my MacBook was upgradable, like to a certain extent. Like I could put I put a bigger hard drive in my computer and like way more RAM than is necessary. But I found out doing a little bit of quick research that the iMacs can support 32 gigabytes of RAM, which there is no reason in the world to have 32 gigabytes of RAM, but
not
I will.
At this point.
I mean, I have 16 in my MacBook, and I never use more than like 4 or 5 gigabytes of it. But I don't know, like, so we've got, my wife and I, we just made a lot of plans for this year, and I'm excited that we're going to start doing stuff for the house, because a lot of the stuff I kind of like, buy for myself or buy for her, and it's just, the house just kind of languishes by the wayside. But I'm kind of excited for this year, because like I said, the stove, which is something that I've always wanted, and the computer, and she wants to hang up some stuff, because she also said she's always still like in this apartment mode. Mm-hmm. It's like you never want to hang anything in an apartment, because it's all going to have to come down anyways. So our walls are pretty much bare. So, but do you have any, or have you and your wife like talked about any plans for like 2014 or anything like that?
One of the things we really want to do is try and find a house. That's kind of been number one on our hit list for the last year. Unfortunately, we didn't find one last year. At least we didn't. Well, I shouldn't say we didn't find one. We actually found 3 that we put offers in, and we ended up not getting because somebody outbid us.
Okay.
But they were like nice homes for the price range we have.
Are you still looking over here?
We're looking in the Davison area.
Right. So yeah, over here.
Yep, close by you.
Yay, friends.
Yeah, yes. It'd be nice too, because it's like half-hour drive from where I live now. Not that that's like a huge issue, but it's annoying when it snows.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean that's the one main thing that we're trying to do is find a house. So I'm hoping that this spring or this summer we get one, because when I do, I will be building a green screen, a full-blown green screen, because I'd like to do a actual video show at some point, not in my car or my basement, like with stuff moving in the background.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, there's that, and then I have huge hopes for stuff with Geekcast Radio this year, and convention appearances, but it remains to be seen. I did manage to get my wife to okay 2 conventions, but one of them there's still stipulations with.
Is that TFCon?
Yes. She doesn't trust me to drive 4 hours, is more so what it amounts to.
Like by yourself?
Yes. Because I have this issue. I don't really know, because I haven't driven by myself that long. I've driven with her or other people for longer than that, and it's like my eyes get tired and start drooping, whereas I don't know how I would drive personally by myself. Last time I did something like that was in high school or after high school, and I drove like 2-3 hours, and I ended up in the side of a ditch after a third shift job. Surprisingly, didn't damage the vehicle or myself. I was switching something. I had enough cognitive ability to manage to off-road into a ditch on the side of the expressway, where I was able to magically drive back up it, which isn't easy in a truck, a little truck. So yeah, that's part of why I've gotten in numerous accidents, because I've just lost consciousness to sleep.
Okay.
So I can see where she's
concerned.
Yes. But being that it's hectic driving, it's me speeding, and then I can play my music as loud as I want, I don't think I'd have an issue.
Well, if you wanted company, I could go with you. If you didn't want to go by yourself.
Yeah, we can talk about it off air.
Well, it's funny because I think we talked about driving and stuff like that before. You
don't mind it?
No, I don't, and it's really weird because I think it's because the way that my dad like preconditioned me for long distance driving. My parents have a house in Manistee, and it's like 4 hours from here. And that was like one of the first things I did when I got my learner's permit, is my dad made me drive that distance. And like he drove like on the way back, and like he was like, you are not sleeping, like you will stay awake this entire trip. So it's like I'm preconditioned for like long distance traveling now. Like it's almost impossible for me to fall asleep in the car. I've actually driven from Michigan to Maryland in one day, which is not impossible, obviously.
Yeah.
And obviously stopping for gas and stuff like that. But I've done that without falling asleep, and I've driven from Michigan to Iowa State to visit a friend. I did that in one day as well.
Wow.
Without falling asleep. I mean, I had someone like with me, but I was the one that was always behind the wheel.
Interesting.
So yeah, I have no problem with long distance trips or anything like that. So.
But yeah, that's one that she doesn't have a problem necessarily with me doing it. It's that she doesn't trust me to make it to point A and point B, because it wouldn't be exactly a I would not be staying overnight.
Right.
So because it's close enough to home. It's not like
right.
jumping the border from Canada, like I did once before. So, yeah. Again, that remains to be seen later.
Right.
But I'm going to be doing the Grand Con again, and then hopefully another one pops up, and then I can make it the big 3 for the year.
Yay!
Yay. But yeah, that's pretty much my goals for 2014.
All right. So we got some news here.
Yes, and people will be happy to hear that there's nothing pertaining to Batman vs Superman.
First up, though, is Denzel. No.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, he's not Green Lantern, as far as they're saying.
Are we dropping this Gal Gadot thing too?
Yeah. I don't really want to talk Batman vs Superman. Those were just things in my Twitter feed that I favorited.
Right.
I did a mass dump to the document. They'll be in the show notes, but we're not covering it.
Yay.
Yay. So, yes, the sad news of James Avery, the Uncle Phil of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, died this week.
That's like obviously I'm aware of his work for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but that wasn't until like recently. I always knew him as just Uncle Phil.
Yeah, I knew he was the Shredder, the original Shredder. They changed the voice actor like 3 or 4 times during the duration of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in the 80s. At one point, Jim Cummings ended up being the Shredder and was pretty much the longest running one in that show. So yeah. He wasn't in it very long because he got Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But he's done some voice work elsewhere, like in Transformers, either Revenge of the Fallen or Dark of the Moon, one of the two. He was a character in it. But yeah, that's one of the TV related sad parts for the week.
I don't really want to talk about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't really care for that show.
Well, I guess I'll do it then. I marathoned through the ending or the last few episodes. It's actually getting kind of interesting at this point now because they're finally going to reveal the resurrection information of Agent Coulson.
Or are they?
Well, that's what they're leading to. The next episode's called A Magical Place. Because for those that haven't seen it or whatever, Centipede, which I think that's retarded that they're calling it Centipede.
Mm-hmm.
It's Hydra. Just
just
whatever.
Call it what it. Just call it what it is.
Yes, comic book things are just famous for beating around the bush instead of just doing, like we said, call it what it is. I'm sure there's some legal mishap here, or they're just playing possum with it. But they kidnapped Agent Coulson because they used this entire extravagant thing to lure him out, and then basically they end up taking him and making it look like they killed him, but they didn't, and they want him because they want to find out what he remembers from when he woke up after he died.
That seems like we're not going to find anything out.
It could go either way. I think that they'll give a little bit of tidbits, but I don't think they'll actually fully reveal it.
Yeah, I think you're going to get a little more than you. I think you're going to get the same amount that you would in any other episode of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I'm almost betting that, but the only reason I'm still watching it, honestly, is because of that character.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm still watching it too. It's just kind of like, man, I just want it to be better than it is.
I wish they'd just stop beating around the bush and just finally reveal what it is, and then kind of go on to other things instead of doing Villain of the Week.
I want it to be Arrow.
Yeah, I agree with you. For once, DC's actually kicking Marvel's ass in something besides animation.
Right.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that, and the only pitfall to Arrow is the fact that the Flash won't be in it again.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
So,
but at least that means he's probably getting his own show for
fall.
Sure. So
he is getting his own show for fall. So
I'm okay with that.
So yes, we can kind of skip over that. The Star Trek thing, I'll leave that in the show notes. There's a lot of previous actors getting involved in indie Star Trek films or Star Trek wannabe pilots, trying to revive it and sell it to CBS since they're the only company that can buy the rights for it, since they own it. They own Star Trek,
right?
So, and they also own Paramount, so they can. That's why Paramount gets all the films. But so I mean, I hope that those things go positive for those people. I'd love to see Star Trek return to television.
Maybe one day. Side note, not a news story, but one of the things I have been doing recently is it's the mid-season break for a lot of TV shows because it's the holidays, so they kind of go off the air because viewership is like down because people are busy doing this, that, and the other thing. I took a stab in the dark. I did not know this. I found out that I know this is not a series that you have seen, as far as I know. They Hulu actually has The Legend of Korra, which is the follow-up to Avatar: The Last Airbender. And I did not know that they had the last. I had not seen the last 5 episodes of what is called Book 2 for Legend of Korra, and they just happened to be on Hulu.
Okay.
So I caught those. That series is so good. Like Avatar, the Last Airbender is really good on its own, and there's like I can make small like subtle critiques about like The Legend of Korra that it just kind of seems to fall prey to that The Last Airbender didn't. Like for instance, The Last Airbender, one of the really neat things about it is they had a direction for where it was going to go, and so there is an arc in that series that begins in like the first episode and isn't really wrapped up until like the series finale in season 3. So that like instead of each season having like a beginning, each season has a beginning, middle, and end. But in the 3 shows, the 3 seasons actually act as a beginning, middle, and end, which is, I know this sounds kind of weird, because a book does that, movies do that, and stuff like that. But for like a TV show, especially like a kid show, like there is very little filler in the Avatar series. But that's just praise for The Last Airbender. Korra falls into the trap of, it was originally only supposed to be like 12 episodes, and Nickelodeon saw the potential in it again, so they went ahead and like commissioned them for like 3 more seasons. And so far each season has been like a self-contained story. Like the arc that was present in The Last Airbender is not present in The Legend of Korra. Each season seems to be about one thing and one thing only, which has been kind of a bummer. And again, I could be completely wrong, because when they do season 3, they could pull some stuff from the first book, which would be amazing. So I caught up on that. I caught up on the rest of the current season of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Okay.
which I'm still enjoying, but I still have the one complaint I still have with the series is that the fact that it takes place in New York and there are no bystanders.
Yeah, that's a little strange to me.
Every time. That's the only thing I have with that show. It's like these people are fighting in the street and yet nobody is there to see it, like ever. Like just okay. So that's still fun. At Danner's request, well, not at his request, my co-host on Off the Cuff said that he started watching Being Human. I don't know if you're familiar with this show, Steve, or if you've heard about this. It's in the U.S. It's on the Sci-Fi Channel. It's called Being Human. The premise is that a ghost, a werewolf, and a vampire all get an apartment together. It's actually a really cool show in the US, and it's a remake of the BBC series in England. And I had started watching the American show first, and like during one of the season breaks, Being Human, the UK version, went up on Netflix, and I was like, I'll give this a shot. Very similar, and I was kind of like, I've already seen this. I don't want to watch it again. But my co-host started watching the BBC version, and I was kind of like, well, instead of just running my mouth on something that I don't know about, maybe I should just check it out, because he said it was really good, and like I said, I like the American version. So I decided to check it out again. I burned through the first 2 seasons already of the UK version. It's a lot darker in tone, and some of the mythology stuff isn't fleshed out as well as the US version is. Okay. And they it's the character names are even different. The premise is the same, obviously. Like, you have the same group of monsters living in an apartment together, but even like just the character names are different. So it's almost like you get to see the same show, but it's almost like two different shows that share the same premise. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Kind of like how you have, Sherlock in England, and then you've got Elementary on CBS here in the U.S. Kind of like it's kind of that, I guess. So it's like you could watch both of them without getting confused by which one is which. But if anyone's intrigued by the idea of seeing, a vampire, a werewolf, and a ghost live together in an apartment, it's pretty funny. And there is some like darker horror elements because obviously you are dealing with werewolves and vampires and stuff like that. But it gets kind of comical, so I caught up on that. And just yesterday, season 3 of Sherlock started, which is a show that I've talked about on here numerous times, and I've urged Steve to check it out. But just in case anyone new that doesn't know about this show, it actually stars Benedict Cumberbatch and, oh my gosh, Martin Freeman, who plays Bilbo in The Hobbit. And obviously Benedict Cumberbatch was Khan in Into Darkness.
Yep.
But no, that series is great. It's in its 3rd season, but here's the catch. Each season is only 3 episodes long, and each episode is 90 minutes. So it's like a mini movie for each thing. And it's been 2 years in between each season. Season 1 aired in 2010, Season 2 aired in January of 2012, and Season 3 just started in January of 2014. Because everyone's so busy, and the production for the shows, the production value for the shows is so high that it's amazing. So yeah, if you're a fan of Sherlock Holmes, especially if you like the new Robert Downey ones, I highly suggest checking them out because they borrow some of the music, with like a more upbeat twist to it.
Interesting.
And just so anyone that knows, Sherlock that I'm talking about is a modern day setting. It's not like the Robert Downey Sherlock that's like in the 1900s. It's all modern day, so you've got like cell phones and cars and stuff like that. So, but it's really, really, really good. I urge anyone that's a fan of Sherlock or just good television in general to check it out. Like I said, the first 2 seasons are on Netflix, and season 3 will probably be on there this summer. So, but yeah, I thought I'd talk a little bit about TV because people wanted to hear more about TV. So.
Yes.
And that we could dovetail that into the Gizmodo article.
Yes.
The top 10 pirated TV shows of 2013.
Yes.
Only one of these actually surprised me. Obviously, number 1 was Game of Thrones, as the most pirated show on TV.
Not surprising.
I can see that because not a lot of people. It's actually interesting because if you look at the numbers that they have, they give like an estimated downloads versus like the estimated US TV viewers. Like Game of Thrones is one of the ones that's like flipped. So like they have more downloads than they do TV viewers, and I wonder if that's because HBO is a premium product.
That could be.
Because if you go down and you look at Breaking Bad, which is number 2, and you look at The Walking Dead, which is number 3, there are way more actual TV viewers than the number of people that download the show. And I think that maybe because AMC is available to a wider number of people.
Makes sense.
So there's that. Number 4 was a show that I don't really care for, which is The Big Bang Theory.
I like that show.
I can't stand shows that tell me when to laugh, and I feel like that's what the studio audience or the laugh track is.
Well, if you want to say that, just about every show on TV is trying to do that.
Yeah, but the good, like the ones that I really appreciate don't, because they actually aren't shot on a stage. And I guess like some shows get a pass. Like I enjoyed Whitney, and that had a studio audience, and to a lesser extent, I enjoy what is it? Last Man Standing, and that obviously has it going for it. I don't know. There were certain things, like I remember trying to watch. I watched like 5 seconds of that. What was it? The Shit My Dad Says with William Shatner.
And then it went down the way of the shit.
I turned it off immediately because the laugh track popped up so fast. Or the studio audience thing just popped up so fast. I don't think I can stand the premise of The Big Bang Theory. I don't know. I don't like the
It's evolved.
I don't like the portrayal.
It's evolved quite a bit. I mean, I find it funny just for different reasons. I know what they're trying to do, which is poke fun at geeks. It's not actually, for geeks. It's really making fun of us, but because it's the stereotypical geek. It's not what we actually are.
Right.
But I still find it entertaining nonetheless. Out of the shows that those guys, the creators, made, that's the only one I actually care about.
What else have they made?
They've made that one that's got Anna Faris in it. That's that new one. I think it's like Mom or something like that.
Oh, okay.
They made 2.5 Men.
Oh.
So a lot of the other ones are like potty humor, whereas this is like a little bit more intelligent. So I would say it's their only real hit out of the bunch.
Number 5 was Dexter, which I have never seen.
Me neither.
I think it's on Netflix, so I might try and check that out. Number 6 is another show that I've never seen, which is How I Met Your Mother.
That one's okay, but it's a lot of back and forth time explaining. Like when there's not something that's explained, they go back and physically show it to you.
Okay.
And then they laugh about it.
All right. Number 7 is Suits,
Never
which
heard
is
of
I actually do watch that show. It's all right. Number 8 is Homeland, which is another excellent show, although I feel like it's lost its way since season 1. They just wrapped up season 3 not too long ago. I think like earlier in December. I don't know. I don't know. Like there's a lot of shows that I do watch, and just because of things that may or may not be happening with my job, like I'm starting to take a harder look at the shows that I quote unquote watch to see which ones I actually do and do not watch. Because like I said, I have shows that I must watch, and I have train wreck shows where I just watch to see where they go. And season 1 of Homeland was definitely a must watch. And then season 2 kind of slipped a little bit, and season 3 definitely became like a train wreck thing where it's like, let's see where this goes. And
it's almost like Heroes.
Yeah, except Heroes for me is a tough show to call, because any time that Zachary Quinto showed up on screen, I would stop whatever I was doing and pay attention. But the minute that his character like left the scene, or like the scene changed away from him being in it, I went back to playing video games or doing something else. Like I didn't care about any part of that show except for Sylar.
I think that show died when they went season 4 with the carnival.
It died way before that. Season 3
it died when they started taking away Peter's powers.
Yeah, one of the things that really killed it for me was that you had Sylar and you had Peter, and they, just by the nature of their powers alone, they were supposed to be the 2 most powerful entities in that universe, and you never got to see them be that.
Well, no, because they both kept losing their powers, or it made them unable to sustain more than one.
Siler never had that problem. They just never showed all of his abilities at once.
And Peter lost them all because of some stupid
Yeah.
MacGuffin, and
Exactly.
yeah.
So, but that, yeah, I mean, I like season 4 because I felt like it got back to what Heroes was supposed to be. But Heroes I also had issues with Heroes from the very beginning because I felt the scope of that show was way too big. I wished that they had recast everybody in season 2, like just gone with a new cast of characters and told like a new story rather than trying to continue stories with existing characters. And I've heard that was what the original plan was supposed to be, which was just Heroes was supposed to be like a window into the world of these people, not following like one cast of characters. And I've heard that, certain characters obviously became really popular, and then the writers and the showrunners were put in this predicament of now you have to have them in the series. And to me, that just made the world feel really big and sloppy rather than focused and awesome. So, let's see. Number 9 is Vikings, which, if I'm not mistaken, that's a History Channel show.
Huh.
I think it's like one of those. They try to make a documentary out of like an actual series, but it's like a truthful thing. And then of course number 10 is the one that I'm kind of surprised to see on here, Arrow. I wonder if this is the first time that a CW show has ever appeared in the top 10.
I would imagine so. The only other one I could see is maybe Supernatural, but
yeah,
those are pretty much their only shows going for them at this point.
Right. So, yeah. Any of you listeners surprised by this list? I think one should have been like higher than. I mean, obviously these aren't ranked in any kind of popularity, but these could also be looked at as like some kind of popularity ranking. Because they are supposedly the most watched or most downloaded of the TV shows.
The one thing that's surprising about the Big Bang Theory being there, as the article mentions, it's on at least 3 to 4 different stations. Constantly. So you're constantly getting a rerun bash right in your face.
Yet there are still 3.4 million downloads of it.
Yeah, that's kind of amazing.
Man. I'm one of these bad people.
I am too, because I don't... I mean, unless I can catch it live. If I don't catch it live, I usually try and obtain it a different way, because when you have on-demand with a company, they don't let you fast forward to a point. Should you have watched the beginning and missed part of the end, you can't fast forward. You have to sit through it all over again. So rather than do that, I download the entire episode.
Let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these 10 shows I have contributed directly to this.
I have only contributed to 3. Walking Dead, Big Bang Theory, and Arrow.
Speaking of which, did I talk about Flashpoint Paradox the last time we recorded?
I don't remember.
I sat down and watched it.
Oh, yes, you said you hadn't watched it at that point.
No, I had not watched it last time. I have since watched it. Boy, it was good. I'll say that. It was good. I enjoyed it very much. Cannot believe it wasn't rated R.
I can't either. That was so dark.
In fact, I almost like want that to be the movie that they make and put on the big screen.
The only problem with that is it would alienate people too much because of the altered identities or versions of those characters.
I don't care. I just think, but see, the way that DC can craft their animated stuff and just like put people in, that's something they need to adopt for the movies. Like, seriously.
That, for instance, let's just assume, this is so bad because, again, it gets into the movie verse, but let's just assume that, the Batman vs. Superman is Justice League. Okay, that's the starting off point for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Which leads perfectly into, should they do a Flash film, then Flashpoint would be the logical progression for a separated film after the Justice League thing. Because it wouldn't necessarily be telling the origin, but it would be at the same time. But it would also include the current day Justice League in the beginning, like Flashpoint did. But it would still keep it its own thing.
But I see, the problem is I'd want that movie as is, and obviously that'd be rated R, if not bordering on like NC-17.
It was so incredibly dark. I was quite surprised it didn't hit rated R.
Just even the amount of subtext that's in there is baffling to me, that it wasn't rated R. The only thing that really irked me about the film was the end, because you never see the idea that causes the paradox. I mean, you hear about it, you learn about what the idea is. I'm talking about this, trying not to spoiling anything for people that haven't seen it. And we can talk about this off air a little more maybe, but the idea, you learn what the idea is, but you never see the idea occur that causes the Flashpoint paradox, which just kind of irked me throughout the whole thing, because that's what I was going into it expecting to see.
Well, it was supposed to be inferred of what happened, but it still kind of tells you in the beginning and it tells you in the end.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It tells you in the beginning, but you never see him. You never see the light. What the hell was that?
Yeah, but you never see it actually occur. Which, either way, I'm fine with.
Yeah, no, I was fine with it too. I'm just saying, I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. I like seeing the genesis of an idea or the birth of something, and I was just kind of surprised that it wasn't there, because, like you said, they do touch on it at the beginning, you see it at the end, but you never see the light bulb moment. Where someone plants the idea in his head, and then he's like, I'm gonna try that. You don't see it, and you don't see that moment, is all I'm saying. And I would have liked to have seen what made him decide to try to do that, I guess. Because I guess that's not really... That I guess is what is missing from that movie. The motive for, why he decides then to do it. But no, I enjoyed the movie quite a bit, so I would like to see a big screen version of that, although that will never happen.
Yeah, I agree.
So, all right, what do we got next, Steve?
Okay. Since we're already on the superhero thing, we might as well finish it off with this as far as the superhero parts. Batman Arkham Origins, they teased around Christmas for New Year's Eve that there would be an announcement. Well, the announcement is it's an invitation to an awards thing, which, fitting enough, it leads into the new DLC for Arkham Origins. Basically what it is if anybody's seen Heart of Ice and Batman the Animated Series, that's what it appears like it's going to be.
Okay.
Because it says all new story DLC coming in 2014, details to come, but no information yet. But it shows an award saying something, the Wayne Foundation Humanitarian of the Year. And it's got somebody holding a diamond at the top, like a lady holding a diamond type thing for the statue. And there's a crap ton of ice around it, which leads me to believe that they're going to be basically retelling Heart of Ice. Which is it's the same thing that was going on in Heart of Ice. The actual episode is that there's that whole thing with this guy getting an award and Freeze kind of breaking in on it. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. I'm kind of sad that they don't have more than just that coming for the season pass, considering it's $20 and the stuff that's in it already is kind of lackluster. And I paid $10 for Harley Quinn's Revenge when I got that for Arkham City, and it was what I expected.
Sorry, I got tied up reading some of the Facebook comments that went on the Batman Arkham page associated with when the picture went up. So sorry, there's just some people, like the first one on the page says, "Please give Rocksteady back the Batman Arkham series, Montreal. You did your best, but Rocksteady knows what they're doing."
Well, I think that they're more so bitching about the story, which that's on Warner Brothers, not Warner Brothers Montreal, the game group. It's more so who wrote the story, but I don't think they did that bad of a job.
I I've said before on here, and we don't want to dive into this again, but I liked Origins, so that guy can just go.
Yeah, I liked Origins too. I still prefer City overall, but I like Origins just because there's a lot more convenience ability to it that makes it more entertaining, more difficult to some degree too, because I can beat City with my eyes closed. Other than one area, but yeah, so.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to anything more that makes me want to play that game. I'll wait for some people to talk about it probably before I pick it up. I got burned by a season pass. I've only ever done one season pass before, and I got burned by it. I was very disappointed. So I will never be buying a season pass for anything ever again.
Yeah, like I said, I bought it, so I'm waiting to see what all comes out in it.
So, all right. Enough with the superheroes.
Yay!
There's only two other things I can see on the list here that I kind of want to talk about. Probably only one really, which is the map of the 124 United States of America. Have you seen that article?
The map of the 124 states?
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of weird how that came out.
So it showed up on Gizmodo. A gentleman by the name of Andrew Shears, actually he's a geography professor named Andrew Shears, decided to create a map that showed the United States as it could have been. He went through and basically found as many of the proposed splitting up of the states, the dividing of the land and whatnot, and made a map that showed all of the different states that could have been, and there are apparently 124 different ones. Different ones. That sounds really weird. Different ones. 124 different ones.
Different states.
124 different states. Not surprising, but kind of surprising, I guess. Michigan stays untouched.
Well, other than UP.
Okay. Sorry, the Mitten stays untouched.
That's the only state.
Well,
other than the Carolinas, and Iowa, and some of the other states in there.
Yeah, it looks like Iowa got untouched. New York remained more or less untouched, except for like Long Island and. Wait, no,
it's not New York.
Sorry, I take that back. New York was renamed Empire, and Long Island was split off by itself, and there was a smaller state called New York, which was pretty much just the bay by the Hudson. The UP for Michigan and the top half of Wisconsin got renamed Superior. That's kind of weird. Some of these state names are kind of funky, like Blue Wisconsin
or Chicagoland. And it's all the metro areas around Chicago.
Yeah, I like this Forgotten Onia.
I know, I started laughing.
Little Egypt. Like, where is there sand in Illinois? How do you get? Sure. And then of course, like Texas, obviously got broken up like nobody's business. It got split up into like Jacinto, Texas. It actually became just a little sliver. Lincoln, Trans Pecos, and North Texas. I love this. I wish I could figure out. Oh, Mississippi got split up into Mississippi Yazoo. Let's see. Nickajack? What the heck are some of these names?
I know, they're so goofy.
There was North Jersey and South Jersey because apparently New Jersey, not everyone wanted to be a part of that.
New Jersey wasn't good enough.
Oh, Vegas did get its own state. I was wondering if Las Vegas would get its own state, and it does. But yeah, we'll have the links to this in the show notes. I just thought this was really neat. Like Arkansas and North Arkansas, only like North Arkansas is like really tiny. McDonald, did you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
It's like in Missouri, like the lower corner of Missouri. There's a little state called McDonald.
That's funny.
So
must be where old McDonald's farm was. Part of Mexico is a little bit taken in there.
Yeah, it looks like they weren't. Well,
Chihuahua.
Yeah, Chihuahua and Sonora. Yeah, that's pretty much taken up out of Mexico. Baja California becomes its own state instead of just part of California.
California's real thin. It's coastal California.
Coastal California, Central California, Jefferson, Oregon, Reagan.
Yeah, so these are broken up really weird.
Yeah, and what's interesting about this is it kind of comes on the heels of, and there is no more Washington State. It's Columbia. It's kind of interesting. So it's actually kind of interesting that this article kind of showed up when it did, because there was that article about California being broken up into 9 different states.
And then we've seen California broken up.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that it's been proposed before. So and one of the things that the article goes on to mention is that can you imagine having to learn 124 states with 124 capitals?
Oh, hell no.
Instead of just the 50?
It was hard enough learning 50.
Yeah. Man, that was a pain in the butt.
Good thing I don't remember it anymore.
I don't remember. I couldn't name them, but I have a feeling if I heard one, I could tell you, like... If I heard a capital, I could tell you what state versus... Like, I couldn't tell you what state has what capital. If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's some nice little piece of trivia I thought I would tag and share with you guys. The other thing, and we could probably talk about this more given that the first half of the year is always tech-oriented, especially with CES, which is the Consumer Electronics Show. So I'm pretty sure we will have lots of tech things to share with people.
Yes.
First up, supposedly this looks like it could be the last year for plasma.
I'm sad about that.
I am too. I would like to see a 4K plasma, but I'm gonna have to read some more into this. I don't see LEDs replacing plasma anytime soon. OLED, yes, but I don't see LEDs replacing plasma anytime soon. The picture quality just isn't there, and I say that as an owner of an LED TV. I hate that they say LED LCDs. I wish they would just call them LCD TVs, because that's what they are.
Yep. I'm glad the 3D TVs died. For the
Have
most
they
part.
died, or are they just a bullet point?
Uh,
I think they're just a bullet point.
yeah. I mean,
I think
nobody cares about it. It's a gimmick.
Yeah, I don't think you'll be able to buy a TV that doesn't have 3D on it, but
Nobody buys
but,
it for that.
right. I got it because my TV has 3D, and I bought it because the 3D TV can generally drive a better 2D picture, and I just wanted it just in case that everything was going to go 3D. It's one of those things where it's like, oh, I don't want to buy it and not have it. I'd rather just buy it and have it. So, but
No.
yeah,
What do you think about the UHD TV?
so the 4K stuff.
Yeah.
My opinion of it is, first of all, 4K content looks amazing.
Isn't that better? Way better than movie theater?
Depends on the movie theater, because some movie theaters have 4K projectors.
Okay.
We do not. The theater that Trillium does not have 4K projectors.
Does Rave?
No.
Okay.
There isn't a theater in the area that I know of that has a 4K projector. So yes, the Ultra HD or the 4K TVs, they do have a higher resolution than movie theaters.
So would that
now,
be keeping films at their native, or are they shot lower than that?
Well, let's see. Sony releases all of their movies in 4K, and they're scaled down to 2K for the projectors. So there are movies out there that are ready to go for 4K TVs. If you're interested, I don't know if you've been in the TV section at Best Buy, Steve.
I haven't been there in the last few years because I haven't had to buy a new TV.
Okay, well, if you just stop into a Best Buy, they actually have a 4K TV set up that is running 4K content.
Okay.
There is a big difference in the picture quality. The issue is, one, with that TV, they have the AutoMotion Plus turned on, which AutoMotion Plus on any TV is a bad thing. So it kind of looks
Fake.
It looks really good, but it doesn't look like it should. The other thing is there isn't 4K content out there. It's coming, but I'm of the opinion that we need to wait for like cable TV to catch up, because most broadcast TV is in 1080i, except for like Fox, ESPN, and ABC. They broadcast in 720 because they do sports. But most HD TV is 1080i. It's not even 1080p. So like we can't even deliver 1080p content over our cable TVs. I don't know how they expect them to be able to deliver 4K content over existing cable lines. Now that's not saying that you can't have a TV that has that. Basically, the TVs, you really won't notice that big of a difference if you watch 1080p content on a 4K TV, because it's kind of the way that Apple did with the Retina TVs. They just kind of quadrupled the number of pixels. So there isn't a scaling issue.
Okay.
So basically, a 4K TV is basically 4 HD TVs put together. So you could watch 4 1080p streams. So if you just watch a 1080p content on there, basically 4 pixels are going to make up 1 pixel of a 1080p TV. Instead of being like 2 pixels for 1 pixel, or in the worst case scenario, 3 pixels making up 1, it'll be a block of 4 makes 1. So it'll look normal. But you won't get the fine-grained detail unless you watch 4K content. Now, Netflix and some other streaming services are trying out 4K streaming, but that's still not going to be the same thing as watching like a 4K content off of a Blu-ray. Nothing matches Blu-ray in terms of in the home. Nothing matches Blu-ray for visual quality.
Okay.
Because your internet just can't your internet can't support that. The internet cannot support Blu-ray quality HD yet, and it won't for some time. So while the TV, it's kind of like you'll buy a 4K TV, you'll still watch 1080p content. In worst case scenario, you'll still be watching 1080i or 720p. Even like the newest gaming consoles, they can play 4K movies. So like when Blu-ray upgrades their standard, they can play them, but they can't do video games in 4K. Like video games will still be in 1080p. If you have like a top of the line computer, like for gaming, sure, you'll be able to play your games at 4K, but you're going to pay for that ability. But for me, I keep going back and forth. Like, yeah, I want a new TV because I want one that actually fits, like fills my entire entertainment center. But at the other time, I'm kind of thinking I want to wait until like the price for the 4K TVs comes down.
To get that instead?
Yeah, because it'll be able to do everything, and I'll just get one that fills my entertainment center then, rather than having to buy another one. And so we'll see what happens, because like 4K last year, 4K was like the new hotness, and all the TVs were like really expensive. This year it seems like everybody's going to have a 4K TV, so it's going to be kind of like a push to the bottom. And so I think you're going to see more, like the bigger guys, you're going to have more introductory pricing for 4K TVs. And when I say that, I mean they're going to have 4K TVs that cost less than $5,000.
Wow.
Well, because before that they were like $4,000 or higher, like five or more for a 4K TV, for like a 55-inch 4K TV. So it's kind of, I think we're going to see that push to where 4K is going to kind of become the norm for TVs. Right now, it's kind of like it was a few years ago when 1080p was more expensive than 720p. Basically, that's what you're looking at now. 1080p is going to become the new 720p.
That's sad.
Yeah. But I'm interested to see what comes out of this. I look forward to seeing the new TVs and hearing about what's coming and stuff like that. This is a fun time of year for me. I don't know. Unless LED does something like really amazing, I just kind of bums me out that plasma's done. But at the same time, though, that means plasma TVs will be really cheap.
Yeah, so that means I can replace all my TVs with plasma.
So, but yeah, we'll be talking about more of that in the coming months as it gets closer to like the unveiling of CES, which I think is like in January.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, obviously this month. So
the other thing I was kind of the thing that was kind of interesting to me about this, not that I'm even going to get one, because one, they'd cost too much, and two, I don't care for the design aspect. But what do you think about them changing or having their new gimmick? Instead of 3D TVs this year, they're doing curved phones and curved TVs.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't know what the benefit of a curved screen is. Like the IMAX is curved to a certain extent, but I don't think it plays very well with the digital IMAX. I think it plays better with with like an IMAX that plays 70mm film. I would have to, honestly, I'd have to see one. I think the idea is that the TV is so large and you're not supposed to sit as far away from it as you would a normal TV, that it's just supposed to like encompass your vision. Or it's a way of fitting a bigger screen in a smaller space. But again, this is one of those things I'm gonna have to go to Best Buy and see. Like, I just I don't see the appeal of them. It's kind of like when I first started doing research, 13 years ago 14 years ago now, when I first got my DVD player. I did a whole bunch of research because I knew that widescreen movies were the way that movies were supposed to be presented. You know, full screen is not, you know, the norm and all this stuff. And when I was going to go make my very first purchase for a TV, at the time I didn't have the money for, you know, a flat panel TV in, you know, 1999, 2000. But the minimum for, like, the minimum TV size for watching DVDs on a or widescreen movies on a standard definition television, like 4:3, was like 27 inches. It's not that you lost anything going like smaller than that. It's just that if you, like, I don't know, there was some weird math thing where if the screen was any smaller than 27 inches, you were it was just like inferior or something like that. So my first TV was a 27-inch Sony, which a 27-inch 4:3 TV is actually like slightly bigger than a 32-inch 16:9 TV, which some people don't understand that. But it makes sense when one's a rectangle and the other one's a square.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those things. It's like you just have to go and see it. You know, you have to, maybe content has to be specifically formatted for it or something like that. I don't really know. Like I said, I don't think the curved glass or the curved screen for the IMAX really plays very well with the digital stuff as it did with the film. But I can try and do some research. Maybe we can talk about it some more on the next show. Because like the curved thing is kind of a new thing. So is the 21:9 aspect ratio, which looks like may become a thing eventually too. I know there's like two companies that offer 21:9 TVs, and one of them is Vizio, and I think the other one is Panasonic. And for anyone that doesn't know, 21:9 is the scope aspect ratio at movie theaters. So basically, if you were to watch a widescreen movie on a 21:9 screen, you wouldn't have the black bars at the top and the bottom.
Interesting.
But when you were watching TV, you would have black bars on the left and the right. Because it would still only fill a 16:9 spot unless you stretched it, and then the picture would be all distorted. But what some companies have started to do is allow you to run apps in that black space. So like you could effectively be watching TV, and then you could have like your Twitter and Facebook feed on the left and right side of the screen while you're watching TV, if you wanted to distract yourself that way and had a really bad case of ADHD. But that's one of the reasons why I've kind of I like the idea of the 21:9 screens, but the fact that 16:9 content leaves the black bars on the left and the right, that would drive me up the wall. And if you watched like a flat formatted movie, you'd get the black bars on the left and the right as well, which would also drive me crazy. I mean, I guess if you did it up all fancy and you had like masking, so like curtains came in on the side of the TV and stuff like that, so you didn't know that there was TV there, which is kind of like what they do at the movie theater. That would be kind of neat, but who has the money for that, right?
True.
So I know I'll look more into this. Like some of the stuff was like, you know, this article was just like the stuff you're gonna see at CES, and that's awesome. But I'll have more to say about it as we go through the month of January, because I'll be following this stuff like crazy because I love TVs and I want to know just as much as Steve does why everything needs to be curved.
It's just the latest gimmick, so.
Yeah, but my gut reaction to the curve stuff is it's cool, and I think what it's going to be, I think the reason is just so they can fit a larger TV in a smaller footprint.
That's quite possibly what it is.
I think that's what it's going to be. So we'll see if that pans out. I'm just making my prediction right now. So.
I don't know if you want to cover it or not, but did you see the Death to the 11 movie concepts thing? I think that was yours, but... Yeah,
it was. I was debating on whether or not to discuss that on here or hand it off to the M-Wire guys. because it was movie related, and we're kind of going
Yeah.
a little long.
Yeah, maybe they can touch on that. But
So I don't know if you I actually don't know if you want to edit all this little bit of a conversation we just had out and just kind of wrap the show up, or
Yeah. Is there anything else that you want to bring up? Well, I guess we can cover feedback. Since
a little bit of it.
Yeah.
I
I don't want to drag too much into it. Some of the things that we brought up last time were the New Year's resolution, the tech blunder, the topics for 2014.
I think the 2014 one, judging by what some people have suggested, I think we just did a little bit better this time.
I certainly hope so.
I am going to try, and like I said in the forums, I feel like I like to buy a lot of tech toys, and I like to talk about all that stuff, but I feel like I can come off as kind of like an elitist ass when I talk about this stuff, and I sometimes I don't like to talk about it, but if you guys want to hear about the toys that I buy, I'm more than willing to share with you all. But yeah, I just feel like for some reason in my head, I always feel like I can get condescending when I start talking about like a new phone or a new iPad, or some like the remote that I got. Like the remote is such a frivolous, awesome toy. Like I love it, but it's like it's not for everybody. I just feel kind of awkward talking about that stuff. But if you guys don't mind, I will share more about that stuff, because I do like a lot of the stuff. Sometimes I'll buy stuff because I have a nice return policy from Best Buy. Sometimes I'll buy stuff just so I can try it out, so I can have an opinion on it, and then I'll return it if I don't actually have a need for it or don't want it. So I can definitely do that some more, so we can actually talk about some stuff.
Yeah, I think that's cool for one. I really hope that we've done better this episode and not gone so superhero heavy that it's like
Right.
Yeah, we'll try and keep more to social media and more random things that pop up, kind of like this episode. It's all over the place. Gonna try our best to stay away from Batman Superman unless it's an actual casting instead of just doing rumor mill.
Yeah, I think we should I think we should take a hard line in the sand right now. No more rumors.
No more rumors, only hard factual evidence.
That way we could have an opinion instead of being like,
well, I think that's dumb. I don't know.
Yeah. I'd rather have an opinion on something that's a fact than not. So
yes. There will be more tech talk, because obviously we've done a little bit here on the TVs. I'll try and look into the phone aspect a little bit too, about the for gadgetry.
Okay.
And also if I can find out anything about Arkham Origins DLC beyond what's been teased. But yeah, I think we'll cover more random geeky stuff in the future, and you won't see a lack of Batman, but it will be a lot more lack of it than what people are used to.
Yeah, I also agree with some of the other stuff. Like we need to have more of a. There are some people that wanted us to see us disagree on things.
I think we'll have to brainstorm that a little bit and figure out if there's something that...
It's kind of one of those things where we just have to wait and see if something happens. I mean, I have no problem like picking out a headline and maybe like debating the merits of something, but for me, like general news just isn't for me. And like day-to-day news just isn't for me. Like I like talking about like the tech news and stuff like that, and that's not really stuff you can really debate. I mean, and it's we can't even you and I can't even really debate LED versus plasma, because that's more of like a personal choice. That's like arguing about religion right there.
Yeah, that's like Android versus iPhone.
Yeah, you don't. That's not an argument I want to have. And I honestly thought that we were going to have it for a second. I thought we were going to have it with Arkham Origins. But then like 2 days later, you said you were actually like getting into the game or whatever, and I was like, oh shoot. So, but we'll try and come up with something. The problem is we kind of sought out each other and became friends because of the things that we have in common. So it's kind of hard to find things that you don't have in common. I'm pretty sure like a movie or a TV show will pop up in here, or something that we'll be able to talk about, or a game. But as far as like random headlines, that might be kind of tough to pick something, but we'll certainly try. We'll look into it.
Yes. So I guess before we go to the questions and close it out, maybe we'll touch lightly on the upcoming GCRN, first annual GCRN Awards, which we're still
figuring out.
Yeah, well, it's more so ironing out the final details, and then I get to make up a crap ton of art.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to have to script the entire page, and it's going to be so fun. But it'll be worth it for the listeners to interact with.
Sidebar. Has there been any further discussion than what we've talked about at the meeting?
As far as
like the awards, like how they're going to be, like each individual show is going to have something, and then
yes,
the big okay, so there has I'll have to check the forums.
It's ongoing in the staff forums. Yes, sorry people, this is just a little bit of background talk. I'm not editing.
That's why I said sidebar. You could cut it out.
Oh well, it's here.
Oh, now they know that I don't do a lot of work.
No, it's just this is all transpired within the last 3 hours. So okay. I've been having problems. Well, last 5 hours, but I've been having problems keeping up too. So, I made the art for it for the webpage already, but or at least for the teaser header. Yes, this is the first annual GCRN Awards. We're going to do basically how the year is going to break out. The first quarter will be the GCRN Awards. The second quarter will be a Wars tournament. The third and fourth quarter are kind of up in the air as far as to what we do. There will probably be some kind of a year-end spotlight of some kind and another top 100. It just remains to be seen where those are. But as far as Altered Geek is concerned, we will be covering TV and tech on this show.
Okay.
So you and I can discuss that afterwards as far as the categories. There will be categories for each, like subcategories for each specific medium, whether it be movies, television, tech, gaming, comics. I think that's pretty much all the breakdowns. There'll be some breakdowns as far as like subcategories within there. And then there will be nominees to be voted on. So, again, we're still working on that so that it will be out in the near future. We'll keep you posted here as far as that and where to vote when the time comes.
Sounds good.
Yes. So, do you have any questions you'd like to ask?
Well, I mean, it's the first show of the new year. We can ask them about their New Year's resolutions.
Sounds good.
Did you, the listeners, did you make any, I'm not talking about like, well, I mean, that's the resolution you made was like to be more fit and lose some weight. That's fine. But did you guys make any geek-specific New Year's resolutions or anything like that. Like last year, for instance, on Off the Cuff, I made a gamer resolution to finish every game that I started. Needless to say, like every New Year's resolution, I failed that. But I did finish more games last year than I think I have in previous years. So there is that. So is there like geeky resolutions that you guys have that you may have made that you'd want to share? I think personally I'm going to try the gamer resolution again, where I'm going to try and finish more games this year than I did last year. I think that's going to be what my resolution is for this year as far as gaming goes. But I also have the promise, or I have the resolution to make my house more livable through tech. So that's one of my little resolutions. I don't like making the ones like go to the gym or do this, that, or the other thing. But yeah, just any geeky resolutions that you guys have that you came up with that you want to share. Those would be kind of fun to hear, because maybe we'll take some of them.
Yes. Well, considering I'm lazy and I'm a geek, I don't do the whole go to the gym thing or whatever. I have some, but I will save those for next episode. I do have a few other questions that I've kind of pre-written pertaining to this episode, or just in general. And you can answer all of them or none of them. It doesn't matter. We just love feedback. So what is your thoughts on the curved aspect of TVs or phones? Just because that's pertaining to the tech entry we had this time, until we can find out more information on it.
The curved phones I can see being a thing. Like that I kind of understand. But the TVs not so much. Yeah. Anyways.
Yes. Something that I've been toying around with and I don't want to create another show for. Would you like to hear short, sketched out skits/segments in the show? Like whether it be, I don't know if people have listened far enough through the outro of the show, but occasionally I throw little audio clips at the end of the show, just kind of toying around with it, goofing off, whether it was the Kevin Conroy versus Tim Daly thing, or Beast Unleashed outtakes, just goofy stuff like that. I've been toying around with doing it with character voices and joking around with that. So that's an idea. And then also kind of tying into that, but not really the same subject, would you like to see the return of Altered Geek video?
Which is a whole lot of Steve.
Yes.
Remember that? No.
It could be either or.
So
yeah, that's it.
How can they let us know their thoughts, opinions, answers?
People have those?
Yeah. Well, it's the internet. Everyone has one.
Yeah, I was going to take that down a rat hole, but I decided not to. Well, they can, as always, call the voicemail line, 502-526-5821. Just leave us your name and number, or name and what you're calling for, what show. Obviously, Altered Geek. Email us, feedback@geekcastradio.com. Visit the episode post at geekcastradio.com. You can find us on Facebook by searching Geekcast Radio Network. And you can contact us on Twitter at Geekcast Radio, #AlteredGeek. My Twitter handle is at SCP21, and yours is?
At BoothNinja81.
So, as always, get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks. See you next time.
Bye.